Across from my bed, on the wall of my bedroom, is a sheet of paper with 3 Hebrew words. Tzedek, tzedek tirdof, justice, justice you shall pursue. This commandment to do what is right by others, to stand up and to speak out against injustice, is the first thing I see when I wake up and the last thing I see before I go to bed. It drives me to be the best version of myself. But this relationship with Judaism wasn't always the case for me. For me, Judaism was never a given. I grew up in an interfaith household in Dubuque, Iowa, where a synagogue had 20 families, no rabbi, and no kids except for my sister and I. My parents approached religion by giving me the space to ask questions, to push back, and to wrestle with my beliefs, but they never forced me to go to temple. Again, for me, Judaism was always a choice. When I was in 3rd grade, however, our family moved to Cleveland, where we visited a new temple. From the moment that I stepped into that tiny synagogue, I knew I was where I needed to be, that I was home. Joining this community brought me a sense of belonging I didn't even know I was missing. It also introduced me to an amazing organization that shaped my values, introduced me to my best friends, and became the single most transformative movement I have ever had the pleasure of being a part of. You may have heard of it. It's called NIFTY. NIFTY taught me why Judaism resonated with me. That at its core, Judaism is about repairing our broken world so that everyone, even future generations we will never know, can live in a more whole, just, and compassionate world. And that's what Judaism is. Judaism is pursuing justice, and it's belonging to a community where everyone shares that same understanding. Last year, I experienced a heartbreaking reminder of why this understanding of Judaism is so fundamental, not only to me and to my identity, but to the very survival of our people. As a student at the University of Pittsburgh, I think about October 27th, 2018, every day. On that Shabbat morning, I watched as ambulances and police cars raced past my apartment to the nearby Tree of Life synagogue, where a known anti-Semite with an AR-15 and 3 handguns stormed inside and fired at random. We lost 11 members of our community that day. Afterward, I couldn't sleep or eat or go to class. How could I, after this terrifying anti-Semitic, xenophobic act of gun violence happened just down the street? I couldn't lift myself from the fog of grief and of blame. Eventually, though, the sheet of paper on my wall, my reminder of tzedek, tzedek tirdof, did what nothing else could do. It reminded me that despite the worst possible circumstances, we as Jews have to keep fighting for the rights of ourselves and of all people. When nothing else made sense, I found comfort in the work of doing justice. In the aftermath of the shooting, I helped organize rallies and vigils throughout Pittsburgh to denounce white supremacy and call for common sense gun reform. Very quickly, however, I realized I would need to do more. And so I decided to take up my generation's fight against gun violence, throwing myself into work to end the senseless, preventable violence by firearms that plagues this country. I decided that I would not allow myself to be driven by fear as the shooter had intended, but rather by unconditional compassion for people who look, speak, love, believe, and pray differently than I do. I decided to embrace a questioning of the unknown just as my parents taught me to do, so that I could find a different way forward towards justice. This approach and ideology motivated me to found Not My Generation, a nonprofit organization that pursues localized intersectional gun violence prevention advocacy for young adults. Standing together, we at Not My Generation declare that an attack against one marginalized community is an attack against us all, and that our generation refuses to be victims for any longer. I'm proud of this work, and I am grateful for the support that this community has provided, from leadership development training I received in NIFTY to the opportunities I've had through the Religious Action Center's gun violence prevention campaign to lead that as a member of the Commission on Social Action. But what I'm most grateful for is my faith. My Jewish identity is at the very core of my work. When I'm organizing, when I'm marching, when I'm lobbying for gun violence prevention, that is me practicing Judaism. And that's why I love this movement so deeply. It's why I wake up and choose to be Jewish every single day. Because I believe that my purpose on this earth, that our purpose on this earth is to do justice. And because of Judaism, because of the Reform movement, this is who I am. Thank you.